I was actually saved as a young adult, but after that I didn't join a church, I didn't sit under the teaching of a pastor, and I didn't grow in my faith.
I know there is a God, but I honestly, I didn't know that I have to have a personal relationship with Him.
So we had cable TV in our little town that we lived in. Oh, it was like a super small TV. You wouldn't believe it. It was like this size, I think. And so one Sunday, I think, I was flipping through the channels, and then Pastor Bayless was there. But there was an instant connection. It was supernatural, where I just, was glued to the TV that instant, and I began listening. And what he said was really relatable and applicable to my life. And I realized, wow, the Bible is not just an ancient book, but it is full of life and of power, and it speaks with relevance to the issues that I'm facing in my life now.
I saw him watching Answers with Bayless Conley, and he was so happy, and he was like a little child, and I really loved it. I mean, how can you not? So whatever this, for me, Pastor Bayless was very fast talking. So whatever he was preaching or teaching, that was good. So because I saw the change in him, and I was happy with that.
So I'm finding out on short notice that Pastor Bayless is going to be speaking in Switzerland, actually in the town that we lived in, just a short drive away. However, our schedules were done way in advance. It was difficult to change it. And I couldn't find anybody to replace me. So I was like still a young Christian, and I thought maybe God doesn't really want us to go. However, what happened then was that my supervisor came to me just the day before the event, and the only time that happened in 7 years, that he said, I want you to take a day off tomorrow and do something nice with your family. And I was completely stunned, but that gave us an opportunity to go. And so the next day, we're going to the event where Pastor Bayless is speaking.
I watched him, I observed him, and I really liked his demeanor. So he was very approachable and so kind and friendly, humble, shaking hands.
And a moment later he appeared next to us. And I remember looking up to him and shaking his hand, and then I said something like, "Oh, hi Pastor Bayless, I know you from TV." And he said, "Well, that's not really important. What's important is that Jesus is here tonight with us." And just gave me so much joy and peace.
Lucas was 3 years old, and like other little kids, small kids, he got restless. So, and I knew how much it meant to him being there, seeing Pastor Bayless in person. So I said to Thor, I go with Lucas outside, and you stay here and you can listen. And to my surprise, he said, "No, I go, you should listen." And I was like, whoa, I was shocked because, I knew how much it meant to him. But he took the little Lucas with him, and he went outside. And so I started listening to Pastor Bayless, what he was teaching. And every single word he was teaching on this evening went right into my heart. Then the altar call came, and I got really nervous. My heart was racing, like crazy. I could hear my heart in my ears. And Pastor Bayless, all of a sudden he said, "I know your heart is racing now." And how can you know? So the next thing he said, if you want to follow Jesus, you should raise your hand. And I'm in my heart, I was so ready following him, but I was so scared too, raising my hand, because somebody might see me. So in that moment, Pastor Bayless said, "You don't have to be afraid raising your hands. If you raise your hand and do this action, you will lose your fear of man." And I was stunned again. So finally I raised my hand. After raising my hand and giving my life to Jesus, I felt so liberated and happy. Joy was pouring into my body. Fear was leaving me. You know, sometimes I think at that moment you walk in your life with a huge backpack on your back, and in that moment I was giving my backpack to Jesus, and I felt light.
You know, I had been walking around the church with Lucas, just waiting for the meeting to end. And I remember Svea walked out of the door, and she was transformed. I mean, it looked like a ton of weight had been lifted off her shoulders, and she was just glowing. I didn't have to really ask her, but I still asked her, you know, and she said, yeah, she had decided to follow Jesus. And one of the happiest moments in my life. I was overjoyed. I think we wouldn't be here today without the broadcast. We wouldn't be here. Probably about 2 years ago, I was given this amazing opportunity to help in the production of the TV broadcast that impacted our lives so heavily. And it's just a joy to be involved in it, because now I see how much fruit is coming in. It wasn't just our lives, of course, that were impacted, but thousands and thousands of people all over the world who find Jesus, who are encouraged every week, who are uplifted by the preaching of His Word, and whose lives are changed.